first poet that we're going to hear from is actually the first resident of the Open Mouth residency and our lovely friend who also runs a reading series, an amazing reading series here in Fayetteville, Noelia Serna. I'll tell you a little bit about her. Noelia Serna is a Latina poet based in Northwest Arkansas. She was born in Costa Rica and immigrated to the United States at the age of 7, where she received a bachelor's degree in English from Westminster College in Missouri. Her poems have been published in audio form in Terse Journal, The Revolution Relaunch, the North Meridian Review, and Plants and Poetry Journal. Noelia is a reader and poetry feedback editor for Tinderbox Poetry Journal, an assistant poetry editor for Borderlands Texas Poetry Review, a poetry genre editor for Patchwork Lit Magazine, an associate editor for Sibling Rivalry Press, and an editor for Nomadic Press, a writing mentor for PEN America's Prison Writing Mentorship Program, the board president and director of the Ozark Poets and Writers Collective, a writer for Powerful Latinas Rising, and a community partner and event curator for Plants and Poetry Journal. And if that does not impress the hell out of you, just wait till you hear her poems. So if you want to follow along with her poems, Gwen just posted a link in the chat. Noelia, we are absolutely delighted to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Molly. I love you guys. Happy to be here. I've got 2 new pieces for you guys, so let's get into it. This first poem is called The Morning After I Let You Go. I stepped onto the porch and noticed that the strawberries you planted had withered, their shrunken black husks retreating into the yellowed leaves above. They had been fine yesterday. I remembered seeing the flash of red when I let the dogs out, right before rushing off the porch as I have done since the day you left. Standing out only long enough to hook the dogs to the lead line before fleeing your ghost, the one that haunts the place where you lied, told me you were ready for forever, that you'd always be there, the place where I once believed. The only plant left is the one I chose, that day at the greenery, the day you jokingly said any living thing I touched would die, as if the universe waited until I was ready to let go, to remind me it was time to stop watering what was his, to remind me it was time to turn the faucet onto myself, onto the patches of dry grass he let choke under the harsh sunlight of untreated addictions and inability to commit. Her. I scooped the strawberries from their pots, place them gently in a bag, lay them on top of the gardening trash pile, a burial ritual for everything I could have made bloom had the soil been ready, thanked them for holding on until today, watered the remaining plant, told it the drought is over, the rain is coming. And then my last piece is called Dear Heartbroken Brown Girl. Right now, you are here. A crumpled ball on the floor of your kitchen, the world as you knew it on fire, the world as you knew it over, clutching desperately to the surviving driftwood, scared to death of the ocean you are floating towards, the ocean floor feeling millions of miles away, deep beneath you and shrouded in darkness. Right now, everything looks like fins and teeth, every movement shark, every ripple death. Everyone is afraid of the unknown, and at this moment, there is no land on the horizon, only wave after wave of dark, murky water. This is the season of testing. You only thought all of those years you spent building your boat were being invested into the vessel. In reality, what you were spending those years of work on was yourself. Someone should have told you that you are the only vessel you will ever need. Watch the way you turn your heart into compass, your mind into sail, your hope into wheel. Watch how the water you once feared becomes the mirror reflecting the way your sun-kissed skin glows in the daylight. When the island you were always headed towards blossoms into view. Remember, you once made a home out of neglect, fashioned a door out of silence, carved a staircase out of everything you needed said that was never spoken, how you made a bed out of lies, stretched anger onto canvases, painted it green, made music out of empty promises, Remember, it was you that made everything beautiful. Do not feel guilty when the island bursts with flowers upon your arrival, when the wind calls you beautiful, when the trees make you feel safe, when the sand beneath your feet whispers, you can be soft here. At night, as the stars dance into view, sit by the fire, let it warm you. Remember the way you made life out of everything that was dying. Allow yourself now to love what is blooming. Do not shut out what is good to you. You have been accustomed to dry bones, but he is a hibiscus, and there is nectar here. Let it blossom in the nighttime air. Rejoice in the fluttering of butterfly wings in the pit of your stomach. Embrace the steady blush creeping across your moon-kissed cheeks. Protect the smile stretching from ear to ear. You deserve it all. When he calls you his, do not run from the warmth. Remember the ways he shows up every single day. He is not afraid of the darkness lurking beneath your waters. When you catch him staring, remember all those months you tried to convince someone you were worth looking at. When he calls you beautiful reverently in a breathless whisper, remember the months you spent being told you were not enough. For every day he wakes up and chooses you. Remember those days you felt like a ghost. For every good morning and good night message that arrives like clockwork, remember the times of excruciating silence. Allow him to be different than what you've known before. Eventually, someone must be. It is okay to want to be the sunrise in his sky, that burst of color breaking apart the mundane of the everyday, to want to turn his mouth into a canvas to perfect the art of painting smiles on every day. Rejoice in the reciprocity and accept the generosity of his sweetness. It is okay to allow yourself to be chosen. More importantly, sweet girl, as you tend to the garden, slowly blossoming, the one he helps you water, the one he helps you plant, when you remember her reflection in the waters you navigated to reach this place, the ways you saw her rise into her fullest power again after the longest night, now that you have found your way, even though his eyes reflect the goddess you are today, and that is okay. Promise me you will never put the mirror in anyone else's hands again. Promise me to be your own and kind judge. Promise me you'll let him care for you. Promise me you will remember you deserve whatever brings you peace. Thank you.
Noelia. I love it so much. So the next poet that we're going to hear from, where Brandy was having trouble getting in, so we're going to hear from Autumn next. And I'll just introduce her really quickly, not to interrupt the poetry too much. So Autumn Tolbert grew up in a rice farming community in Northeast Arkansas, but has made her home in Fayetteville for most of the past 25 years. She's a freelance political columnist whose work has appeared in the Arkansas Times and the Jonesboro Sun. She also works as an attorney and is the mother of 2 children. And you can find her on Twitter at AutumnDammit.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank Open Mouth Literacy Center for the opportunity to be in the residency and to read here today. I have 2 poems I'm going to read. The first one, I'm kind of cheating. It's not something I wrote in the residency. I edited a little bit, but the second poem is one that I wrote while in my residency. So my first poem is called "On Moving to New Orleans During an Ice Storm." Before I drove south, leaving the broken trees for what I mistook for warmth, I grabbed the filigree-filled paper from the piles on the green sofa. Before he noticed, before the emptiness to my left and on the envelopes, before a safety pin held a stranger's bill to my chest. And now the egrets on Ochsner Island are cotton locks in burr. My second poem is called "Paul's Switch." My sister puts 2 quarters on the tracks. They will look like pancakes, she says. I worry she will get a shoe caught. We aren't supposed to play in the ballast. When we go back after dinner, expecting to find our prizes perfect and shiny and flat, they are gone, likely flung into the tall grass in the ditch by the highway. My dad told me there was once a neon sign at a little store by the tracks, beckoning the passing cars, the only neon sign in the county. One day, the flames from the little store met the morning sun, and the only good thing they said was all the smoke that kept the mosquitoes away for a little bit. Grandma sent him to a Memphis cousin's until the grass grew enough to hide the black and char, and everyone calmed down. I've never asked him if the neon sign glowed orange or blue or red in the night. I won't ask now. There is a sadness inside us, you know, stirred up by the stories we continue to tell. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Autumn. So yeah, I just love the way that you move from line to line and the verbs in your poems. So Brandy, are you ready to read?
Yes.
I know you had some trouble getting in. Thanks so much for working on it.
No problem.
So I'm just going to read you Brandy's bio, and then Brandy will read a couple of poems. And Brandy, is Ponce or Ponce?
Ponce.
Ponce, that's what I thought. Brandy Ponce writes poetry about flowers, dust, girlhood, and the balancing act of Mexican-American identity. Having studied journalism for some time, she's most interested in writing creative nonfiction. Her poetry about immigration and family separation won her second place in the Thea Foundation Creative Writing Scholarship Competition. She's just recently graduated from the University of Arkansas with a bachelor's in English literature. During her time there, she directed the Ann Kittrell Art Gallery and programmed visual and performing arts events for the university, inviting poets such as Melissa Lozada Oliva and Denise Fromm to perform in the gallery. Currently, Brandy lives in Fayetteville and is beginning to work as an administrator doing arts and cultural programming for the Teen Action Support Center, a wonderful organization. Brandy writes poetry to understand and to be understood. So thank you so much for joining us, Brandy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So this first poem, it's a little long, but I like it. I was trying to play with like dialogue between like stanzas. This one's called Labyrinth. You know, it's a little upsetting that after all of this time, the human female body hasn't figured out a way to pee standing up. I don't think you know the luxury you have to get up and pee behind a tree and keep your decency. He pauses for a small moment. We listen to the satisfying crunch of dry earth beneath rubber soles. Evolution doesn't really work like that. There has to be an urgency, a reason to evolve so that you don't die. Well, I feel like I'm gonna die if I don't pee soon. I place all of my focus into what I can see, what I can hear, try to distract myself from the urgency growing inside of me. Have you ever seen two ducks have sex? He asks, but I'm only looking at his towering shadow in front of me. No, have you? No, but I know that a duck penis is in like a corkscrew shape. And when they find a female to reproduce with, they shoot the corkscrew out like in less than a second. And because of the shape, the female gets caught and can't force him off. The pressure to pee falls all the way below my abdomen. It feels like warmth, like a shot of tequila, and I can feel it forcing itself down lower and lower. She's stuck. Oh, geez. Yeah, and since ducks are usually in the water when they have sex, the female sometimes ends up drowning in the middle of it all. My thumb strokes back and forth over the soft toilet paper in my right hand, and I grip the trowel in my left. Oh, well, fuck. He sucks in the air through his stained teeth. Yeah, I know, but the female duck actually evolutionized. So their vaginas, I guess, are more like a labyrinth now, with false passageways, secret doors that lead to nowhere. So when the corkscrew forces itself in, it can't actually find a way in. I look behind me. The blaze of the campfire no longer gleams in my eyes. Instead, it glows behind the dark murkiness of the trees. I step off the trail, pull my leggings, my thong down to my ankles, squat low to the ground, careful to not let the wilderness graze my vulnerability. I let the stream go, bursting through the doors now. I think I found where it comes from. Our tenacity, our willingness to live despite everything. It's in our evolution, isn't it? Etched in our bones. It's in my mother's intuition, a woman's intuition. I swear sometimes I think we can read minds. I imagine myself like a pufferfish, instinctively knowing how and when to be bigger and smaller and bigger again. I wipe myself clean, grab my little shovel, my tool in helping me erase any trace that I was ever here. I take the crumpled toilet paper and bury it deep, deep down. So that was Labyrinth. This next one's shorter. It's called To Do, like a to-do list. On Wednesdays, I wake up at 6:45 a.m. to get to my second job at the flower shop at 8 a.m. And today I learned that we have to slip straws around the stems of our Gerber daisies because their heads are too heavy to support themselves. I don't really have much to say about the rest of the workday because I don't like to think about work. I prefer to black out until 5 p.m. But at 5 p.m., I have to think about what to feed myself, and feeding myself also means cleaning up after. And that feels like work too. And I just remembered about the laundry that I've left in the dryer for 3 days. I meant to shave my legs this week, still need to call customer service about my missing package. So I guess what I'm saying is that I desperately need something easy, but easy doesn't come cheap and rent is due soon. And I keep hearing the term inner child and healing the inner child. And I don't really know what this means, yet it's what I think about every time I grab a bag of Maruchan ramen over the ramen that comes in styrofoam cups. I see my father's face too clearly in those, replacing the advertising on the front of the box. I see his body, his swollen tummy, floating on his back in the broth, bumping into the sliced salchichas we would add to the noodles. It's a spasm in my heart, an ache that makes me want to cry in the grocery store because suddenly I'm reminded of how poor we were. It's indescribable, the yearning I feel to give our younger selves all the things they deserved: a bigger house, better food, extracurriculars, parents who didn't sleep all day. Sometimes I feel like a Gerber daisy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brandy. I'm loving this, like, there's a theme here about healing. I love that. And so our last opening reader now, this feels like it went really quickly, is Dexter Jean Rodriguez. Dexter Rodriguez is a lifelong Arkansawyer and writer. She first received accolades and a monetary prize for her poetry when she was in 2nd grade. Dexter teaches art history and composition on the university level. She's most recently written on falling in love at a certain age against the backdrop of the pandemic. She's also working on writings that integrate NPR stories into the minutiae of daily life and benefit performance to benefit performance to benefit abused women. Sorry, that benefit tripped me up. So thank you, Dexter, so much for joining us. We are really grateful to have you. And Dexter is our current resident.
Hello. I thought I would try something different this time. And so I stumbled across the whole concept of American haikus, and I apologize because my clarinetist is not here with me. I was attempting to do jazz haikus, and partly in homage to my great uncle, who was the Puerto Rican trombonist for Duke Ellington. And so I am going to read my first 4 jazz haikus without the benefit of any discordant notes. These are all also against the background of the pandemic. This first one is Zoom Noir. Stomach tied in knots, tender neck and tight shoulders, yet I persevere. This one is called Commodity Deficits. Toilet paper woes, and in the middle of this, black crows cock their heads. This one is called Long Days. If it's a dog's life, then why am I so restless? More like a rabbit. I first did art and poetry in the Alice in Wonderland vein during the Trump inauguration, and was featured in the Nasty Women exhibition in Chelsea. And so this last one is kind of continuing that, falling down the rabbit hole. Ebbing down the drain, a very important date. Brew me up some tea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dexta. I love like having a little bit of humor there too. I realized that I didn't tell you all very much about the residency, and I just want to say that, you know, I'm really glad to have all of these residents here, and I hope maybe we can talk a little bit about it later. But the residency is basically, it's meant to provide support for writers who don't at this moment have significant institutional support for their writing. So hopefully when we talk about it a little bit later, I'd love to hear what all of you have to say about what it's been like to be there. And in the meantime, I'll move us on to our featured reader. We're so excited. We had a wonderful workshop earlier with Raymond Antrobus. And we're really grateful to him for joining us from many, many hours away into the wee hours of the night. And I'll read you his bio and just tell you, once again, we had a really lovely, like speaking of healing, we had a really lovely workshop earlier that focused on just a lot of like connecting with the interior life. So Raymond Antrobus is a British Jamaican poet and educator. His work includes the pamphlet Shapes and Disfigurements from Burning Eye in 2012, To Sweet and Bitter, Outspoken Press in 2017, The Perseverance, pinned in the margins, Tin House 2018, and All the Names Given, which is the book for which he's on tour right now. In 2020, Raymond was made a Fellow of the Royal Society of Literature, and in 2019, he became the first ever poet to be awarded the Rathbone Folio Prize for the best work of literature in any genre. Other awards include the Ted Hughes Award, PBS Winter Choice, Sunday Times Young Writer of the Year 2019, Somerset Maugham Award, and the Guardian Poetry Book of the Year 2018. He's based between London, UK, and New Orleans, US, though I understand there's been a lot of shifting around in recent months. So Raymond, thank you so much for joining us on the heels of the UK's football defeat today and at almost 2 o'clock in the morning. We're grateful that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me into your space, and for, yeah, like, you know, this feels like such a safe and exciting community to be invited into. So yeah, really good to hear the poems as well from everyone. I am, yeah, I'm gonna really power through this. And what should I say? I'm gonna share all the poems that I'm gonna read that are up. I'm just gonna share the screen. Oh, I can't share the screen.
We can make you a co-host, but we also have the access copies posted in the chat.
Oh, okay, cool, sweet. So what you're seeing here is the cover of the first book that I had published in the US, which is called The Perseverance. And I wrote this book following my dad passing away. And I was pretty close to my dad when he passed. You know, it's I'm sure many of you have experienced the same thing of losing someone, a family member that's close to you, and then you're kind of left with this space to fill, and these memories to examine and explore, and what that is, or what that does to who you are or who you become after surviving, I suppose, being left to survive and grieve. And I found myself needing to go somewhere where I'd never been before. And I went to Barcelona. I went to Gaudi's Cathedral on my own and spent 5 days just walking around the city. And I ended up in Gaudi's Cathedral, and I took the audio guide, and I wear hearing aids, and I lip read, and so I had all kind of complications with communication in Barcelona. But this audio guide was able to sync with my hearing aids. It was a Bluetooth thing, so I was able to access it. And there's a particular part of the cathedral where if you look up and you shout or you sing into this quite unorthodox shape of the roof, small little roof, you're asked to be vigilant of how sound moves in this particular space, because it's how angels would experience sound. And I was having that experience artificially, like through hearing aids and this Bluetooth technology. And I was wondering if deaf people, if hard of hearing people were included in this idea of divine sound or holy sound, and if the way to access it is through the ear. And so I suppose every book you write will have often a kind of central question, and that was one of the main line questions of this book, The Perseverance. So I'll just read the first poem which appears in Perseverance, just here. So imagine that I've just walked into this huge kind of cathedral, and I'm just standing there looking up into this space, and I say, my ear amps whistle as if singing to echo, goddess of noise, the raveled knot of tongues, blaring birds, consonant crumbs of dull doorbells, sounds swamped in my misty hearing aid tubes. Gaudi believed in holy sound and built a cathedral to contain it, pulling hearing men from their knees as though deafness was a kind of atheism. Who would turn down God? Even though I have not heard the golden decibel of angels, I've been living in a noiseless palace where the doorbell is pulsating light, and I am able to answer. I'm going to read next. There's in the book, there's also some BSL sign. So I went to 2 schools growing up. I went to a deaf school and a hearing school. And BSL, British Sign Language, is completely different to American Sign Language. I don't understand ASL because of how different it is to BSL. And just to give you an example of how different it is, BSL, our alphabet is all on 2 hands. And in ASL, it's all on 1 hand. So even the hand shape and the very foundations of the language is different. So it's not like American English and English having that relationship. It's completely different. So there's a sign there which means continue or persevere, carry on. So the next poem I'm going to read from this book is called The Perseverance, which is the title name of the book. The Perseverance is actually the name of a pub that my dad used to drink in. So when I was a kid, my dad would go to this particular pub and he would leave me outside it while he went in to drink. And the part of London where I'm from is, you know, growing up is one of the poorest parts of England. And in the past decade, it's become very gentrified. So the only thing that's kind of survived gentrification on this street is this pub, and it's still there. It's called The Perseverance, and there's something very poetic about that, and how thinking about how we don't just find poetry in poems and in books. We see it on buildings out in the world, and so this poem kind of speaks to that as well. So this opens with an epigraph by Peter Tosh, one of the Wailers, my dad's favorite singer, in which he says, "Love is the man overstanding." And overstanding is just a way to emphasize, it's kind of a remix of the word understanding, but it's like, I go beyond understanding and I overstand. The Perseverance. I'll wait outside the Perseverance. Just popping in here a minute, I'd heard him say it many times before, like all kids with a drinking father, watch him disappear into smoke and laughter. There is no such thing as too much laughter, my father says, drinking in the Perseverance until everything disappears. I'm outside counting minutes, waiting for the man, my father, to finish his shot and take me home before it gets dark. We've been here before. No such thing as too much laughter, unless you're my mother without my father, working weekends while the Perseverance spits him out for a minute. He gives me 50p to make me disappear. 50p in my hand, I disappear like a coin in a parking meter before the time runs out. How many minutes will I lose listening to the laughter spilling from the Perseverance where strangers ask, "Where is your father?" I stare at the doors and say, my father is working. Strangers who don't disappear, but hug me for my Perseverance. Dad said this will be the last time before, where the TV's spilled canned laughter, us on the sofa in his council flat, knowing any minute the yams will boil, any minute I will eat again with my father, who cooks and serves laughter, good as any Jamaican who disappeared from the island I tasted before overstanding our heat and Perseverance. I still hear popping in for a minute, see him disappear. We lose our fathers before we know it, and I am still outside the Perseverance, listening for the laughter. So I'm gonna, okay. This poem is called Two Guns in the Sky for Daniel Harris. And as I said, ASL, BSL, completely different. But this particular day, I tried to pick up a word in ASL, and the word that I picked up was alive. Alive. And when I read about this story that happened to Daniel Harris, and wove it in because I thought it was a story that deserved volume. Who is it that says it? My mind is not 100% functional right now. I can't remember if it was T.S. Eliot who said it, or was it W.H. Auden? Either way, the quote is something like, poetry doesn't change the world, but there are people dying every day for what is found there. And this whole idea of newspaper poetry, and poetry isn't journalism, but there's something in it in a way. Sorry, I'm not completely coherent right now. So this poem is called Two Guns in the Sky for Daniel Harris. When Daniel Harris stepped out of his car, the police officer was waiting, gun raised. I used the past tense so this is irrelevant in Daniel's language, which is sign. Sign has no future or past tense, it is a present language. You are never more present than when a gun is pointed at you. What language says this if not sign? But the police officer saw hands waving in the air, fired, and Daniel dropped his hands, his chest bleeding out to the concrete meters from his home. And I'm in New York coffee house reading this news on my phone when a Black policewoman walks in, 2 guns on her hips, and her friend next to me reading the comment section, Black Lives Matter. Now, what could we sign or say out loud when the last word I learned in ASL was alive, alive, both thumbs pointing at your lower abdominal, index fingers pointing up like 2 guns in the sky. Yes, so now I come to the new book. It's coming out in September in the UK and November in the States. It's called All the Names Given. And there are a number of threads that run through the book, being sound and lineage and family history kind of interwoven in there. There's a few kind of collaborations, one with the sound artist Christine Sun Kim, who, if you don't know Christine Sun Kim's work, you should look it up. She's amazing. And one of the pieces Christine Sun Kim does is with captions from films. And during the pandemic, because I found myself watching more films than I'd ever, or any TV, just absorbing all this visual media, which I hadn't done since I was a kid to that extent. Everything I watched was captioned. So I knew I wanted to do something with all of this engagement with captioned material I was consuming. And then Christine Sun Kim helped me unlock it by learning how to, I guess, engage with captions as little pieces of language. So this something that happens throughout this book are captioned poems, and they try to immerse the reader into the experience and kind of challenge this idea of what sound even is. So you know, when deaf and hard of hearing people watch a film with captions and you don't hear the sound, but you just see the language, bell rings, drone overhead. And for us, that's conceptual. That's, to me, that's like an engagement with poetry, because it's, you see the word, you see a description, and you have to conceptualize it because you don't hear it. So the book also tries to give that to the readers as well. Anyway, I'll just read some of these poems. The Acceptance. The Acceptance. Dad's house stands again 4 years after being demolished. I'll walk in, he lies in bed, licks his rolling paper. And when I ask, where have you been? We buried you. He says, I know. I know. I lean into his smoke and tell him I went back to Jamaica. I met your brothers. Losing you made me need them. He says something I don't hear. What? Moving lips, no sound. I shake my head. He frowns, disappears. I wake in the hotel room, heart drumming. I get up slowly. The floor is wet. I wade into the bathroom. My father standing by the sink, all the taps running. He laughs and takes my hand, squeezes his ring, digs into my flesh. I open my eyes again. I'm by a river, a shimmering sheet of green marble. Red ants crawl up an oak tree's flaking bark. My hands are cold mud. I follow the tall grass by the riverbank. The song of my deaf Orisha of music, ocean, in brass bracelets and earrings, bathes my father in a white dress. I wave, hey, she keeps singing. The dress turns to be for gold, and there's my father surfacing. He holds a white and green drum. I watch him climb out the water, drip towards ocean. They embrace. My father beats his drum. His shining hand, she signs, welcome. And another kind of element to this poem, to this is the beginning, part of the beginning of the book. So my surname, Antrobus, is often assumed to be from somewhere outside of England, but turns out it's a name which is so anciently English, but it's become foreign to itself. So, you know, I've had all kinds of conversations and dealt with all kinds of stuff from this name. So I delve a bit into that here. Antrobus is the name of a village in England called Cheshire, and I went there with my mum, who gave me the name, and we had this interaction. Antrobus, or land of angels. Wherever you are, you touch the bark of trees, different yet familiar, says Lord Milos. I can be fiendish, I can't be English, say ghosts, some with shaved heads, some with cane rolls, muttering themselves into notebooks. The barman's eyes and the Antrobus arms become sharp gates when they claim to be English. My mother born here, my grandfather the local preacher. Oh, well then, welcome, he says, or land your angels. There are enigmas in my deafness. I stare at the crest of gold lines behind the bar. I scar the cross of Davidic's line behind the bar. Hear my ghost say, fiendish, English. The barman calls the whole village, and my name does the rounds. My mother drives us to Antrobus Hall. 2 German shepherds surround the car. I climb out, it's raining. The dogs jump, their paws scraping a new coat of earth on my chest. A farmer appears, asks if we're descended from Edmund Antrobus. Sir Edmund Antrobus, 3rd Baronet, slaver, beloved father, overseer, owner of plantations in Jamaica, British Guyana, and St. Kitts. I shake my head, avoid the farmer's eye. My mother and I tread the cemetery of St. Mark's, Antrobus, and see everyone buried here is of Antrobus. We look up and see hawks in the ash trees and sparrows in the wheat fields and the rain-soaked stones of Antrobus. And after we walk the slick mirrors of wet roads to curves of Barber's Lane between trees, I take a photo of our shadow flung over the red berry bushes like black coats. Language signs. How shall it be known what is spoken, for ye shall speak in the air. 1 Corinthians. J.K. Antrobus, grandfather, I dreamt you returning your reading glasses to your eyes, opening your Bible, pointing at the words you couldn't say. You pointed at mercy and failure, and then you pointed at your white hair and your lips, and then at the ceiling of your church as if it were the roof of your own mouth. And I understood as much as the stone plaques on the walls or the pews which were wood, a word that once meant tree. All the men that raised me are dead, those bastards. On one self-pitying prick of a son, how do I bring back men who couldn't speak, men lost in books, drinks, graves? Where do I turn, knowing they left the hot taps running? I want to say, sorry, come to me. Cut the hedges on your face so I can read your lips. Okay, cool. So the next poem is called And That, and self-explanatory there is after seeing a childhood friend outside a chicken shop in Dalston, again, the area where I was born in. So a lot of my poems, you know, there's this saying, this idea that, you know, the poetry we write is essentially music from the language, from the place that we were born. So growing up, I had some friends and who I lost contact with, and you know, maybe you too, like see someone that you haven't seen in 20 years even, and there's a whole journey that's just there between you two. Anyway, I hope this poem feels true to you, as it does to me. And that. Chicken wings and that. Boss man, salting them and that. Don't assault man, give man a napkin. Big man, no steroid and that. Dark times, new street lights and that. How's man, I'm getting by and that. Still boy them harass. Not beefing, not tad man, still trapped. Cycle man, pedaling and that. On road, new pavements leveled and that. Crack new change, still stayed dwelling in that. Paradise moves, but I got to land grab. We ate East man and got to the dat. Our kingdom got no land to hand back. Man chat breeze, chat trade winds and that. You out ends got good job, legit and that. Locked off man then, stay plotting and that. Raw rate, flower shorts, you hipster in that. Man gone vegan, no chicken wings in that. I have no idea if that translates, but yeah, it's like very, I don't know if anyone listens to grime or anything, any of like Black British stuff. I don't know if it's made it over to the States at all, but yeah, there's something in there. Yeah, cool. Okay, so this is the last poem I'm going to read. Shout out to New Orleans. I lived in New Orleans for a little bit. Lived in a few places in the States for the past 2 years. New Orleans, Oklahoma City, and my wife is from New Orleans. She is a art conservator and she makes paper. So we happen to be in New Orleans, checking out the historic New Orleans collection, and we see this painting, which you can Google and have a look at it if you're interested in this, in painting or in more context of this poem. But the painting is called Plantation Burial, and the man who painted it is a potential ancestor of mine, because his name is John Antrobus, and he painted this in 1860, and he went over to New Orleans from England as a painter, and happened to see this. And I'm at this point, I've been in New Orleans for about 3 months. I've been living there for 3 months or so, and thinking about, I guess, my own racial kind of understanding of a place like New Orleans. And I've also lived in other places like South Africa, where there's another kind of way to think and talk about race there than there is in America and Europe, and the UK has a different way. So I've got all of these kind of perceptions going around my head, and then I'm trying to kind of write into that through this painting, A Plantation Burial, through one of my favorite poets and guiding lights, the former poet laureate of Jamaica, Lorna Goodison, and then speaking with my wife. Anyway, this last poem, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate you. Plantation Paint. After Lorna Goodison and A Plantation Burial in the historic New Orleans collection, 1860, oil on canvas by John Antrobus. Tabitha, the art conservator, squints at the color, tells me the paint depicting the black of these men huddled for a burial will decay before the cypress trees surrounding them will decay. There are several kinds of black, she says, and the cypress tree surrounding them is all I see as we stand alive in this otherwise empty gallery. Why am I like this? What am I like? Who does it matter to? All details question my way of seeing. I worry what kind of black would mark me. I am not the paint made from vine twigs or burnt shells. I am not the lamp full of oil. Tabitha, tell me how you paint me. Tell me if I'm closer to the white painter with my name than I am to the black preacher, his hands wide to the sky, the mahogany rock of heaven. Sorry, but you know by now that I can't mention trees without every shade of my family appearing and disappearing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you get a chance to check out the chat. People just like responding to your beautiful poems. And thanking you for being here and for staying up late with us. Yeah, so I won't hold anybody here longer. That's the end of our reading. I do want to say that, of course, we're really grateful to all of you for being here and helping create this space with us. It's an honor and a gift to get to share your work with you.